All right, you guys, welcome back. Welcome back to our weekly live feed. As you're logging on, if you'd like to come work with me, Sean'sCoutureCuties.com or suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We do hair, makeup, suits and posing, all the fun stuff when it comes to competing. When you log on, say hello. What's up, Lexi? We are live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. The best user experience, in my opinion, is on YouTube. You see all the comments, you get to see the screen sharing, all the fun stuff. Poison Ivy, right? Jared. So it's funny. So as we're waiting for people to log on, I'll go ahead and talk about this. So every Halloween, I always like to do a little bit of fun with costumes and cosplay and things like that. So I put up a little question box in my Instagram stories and asked what I should do this year. And literally everybody was saying redheaded characters this year. I don't know why. I don't know. And the funny part is that the ones I have picked out that I want to do are redheads. So I don't know if the world is just telling me that I'm a crazy redhead or something. I don't know. But it's literally like every suggestion was a redheaded character. So all right, cool. Awesome. But anyways, so that's that little story. Tonight, we're going to talk about this past weekend show, San Antonio. And then we're going to also preview the coming weekend shows. So main reason why I'm doing this is because I didn't do a live last night, just because I got so busy. I was on vacation and I have so much work to get caught up on. I think I'm pretty much caught up at this point. I think I've answered almost everybody. There may be one or two emails that I've missed at this point. So if I haven't responded to you, I'm pretty close. So anyway, so I didn't get on live last night because I had too much other stuff to do. So we're on live tonight. So this past weekend shows, there was only one. It'll be a pretty quick review. And then we have 3 shows coming up this weekend that are relatively significant. So I figured we could talk about everything all at once. And since you're all here live, we might as well just do it all live, right? Good. Awesome. So yeah, say hi when you get on. I always give it a few minutes. Like I said, if you're getting on Instagram, the experience is better over on YouTube or Facebook. What else? Oh, Cuties Conquering the Stage tickets right here. Scan the QR code. We are getting very, very low on the early bird tickets. And once they're gone, they're gone. And that period ends pretty soon too. I can't remember the date. It's coming up. It's coming up very quickly. So as soon as that's over with, then the tickets go up to full price. So we have payment plans options available. I believe we even have a pay later option through PayPal too. So check that out. If you're having, if you need to do your budgeting a little bit differently and things like that this year, we understand that. So we've made several options available to make it inexpensive and budget friendly for you. So check that out. What else? Oh, Behind the Bikini, we just launched a episode today. So if you have not seen that yet, it is up. It's with me and Jordan. So we did record that yesterday. It launched this afternoon. So if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I don't know why. You need to subscribe to the channel. We are doing an upload of Behind the Bikini every single week. So check that out. We did record it yesterday. It did launch today. So check that out and comment, ask questions. Every time we do a podcast, we do go in and actually answer a few of your questions. We've got a handful of them there. And they also help us with ideas and things to talk about, subject matter to talk about for you too. So check that out. What else? I feel like I'm forgetting something. I always get on live and then I forget there's something else that I need to talk about. What else? How's everybody doing? Any questions you guys have as we get into tonight's wrap-ups? So let's just jump right into it. Okay. So this past weekend was San Antonio, and our very own Yulia Baba ended up in second place. Looking for my screen. Where is it? Here it is. And Jordan did win it. We assumed that was pretty much how this was going to play out. Yulia came in second, which was a huge jump up. Well, not a huge jump up. I mean, she's been in the top call out the last 2 shows, but she was right outside the top 5 the last 2 shows and 6th. So she did jump up into that second place spot. which was awesome. So it's just a matter of time for her, I really think, until she gets her Olympia qualification. Again, there's not a whole lot of surprises here on this list. Some people thought that Lizzie Martinez would be a little bit higher. I did see a post that she put out that just her body just kind of just said, okay, I'm done, basically. And that's where she ended up in that second call out. There's a few things like Christy Mzande. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the last name. She was first call out the week before. She was, I think, second call out here. So there was a few people that kind of swapped around, that kind of thing. But again, it wasn't a huge surprise as far as how the placings laid out. We will go through the top 5 here and kind of talk about them a little bit, and then we'll go and preview our coming shows. So let's talk about, Yulia looked amazing. We're going to get into her look and everything once we get up to her. We're going to start with Roxana. So we've talked about Roxana several times because she's been competing several times. She is getting better and better and better. Now, the thing is, though, that she is a previous Olympian. She has not qualified this year. I'm still like, the other thing about this show is that the lighting is very dark. So there's some things that I can't really comment on a whole lot because whenever the pictures are really dark, you can't really see that. I did not watch the live stream because I was on vacation, but I did see some videos, things like that. So that was good. I at least got to see some video. But anyway, so Roxana, I still am not a fan of this pink suit on her. I just don't think it's the right color for her personally. I don't think the cut's bad. I just don't like the color. I think she could do something better. I think the color itself is pretty. I just think on her, it doesn't work as well as something that maybe a little bit deeper would do for her. I think it just kind of looks a little washed out to me. And this has been in every lighting that I've seen her in it. I'm just not a fan of the pink suit on her. So that's just me. Her conditioning has been the one thing that I've been critiquing every show that she's been in, and it continues to be the critique here. She's got a great shape, great overall frame, really, really beautiful S-curve and everything going on, but her conditioning is still just a little bit off. Specifically, I see it in her shoulders, which is interesting because, and I've seen this in several shows, it's the same thing in all of her shows. Her conditioning is just a little bit off through the shoulders and also through the backside, and we'll get that when we get turned around to the back. But you can see here, I don't know what it is. It's just she looks a little bit like almost watery through the shoulders, which is odd. That's not a typical thing for women. Women typically lean out top to bottom. You know what I mean? So not really, she just could be an anomaly, that kind of thing. I also, and again, I can't make a lot of comments on the glam and stuff because the lighting is so dark. But I'm never a huge fan of almost a middle part here. I'd like to see more oomph to this glam look. This glam look just looks a little blah to me. I'd like to see her kind of amplify everything. Again, it's the same thing with the suit. Just like on her, it's just a little bit washed out. I just like to see everything kind of oomph up a little bit more overall. She just needs to have a better overall look and presence. Again, beautiful shape, beautiful frame, conditioning, and to me, the presence is just off, which are both things that she can fix. The conditioning thing just takes time, and the presence thing can definitely be fixed through some posing, through some, some fixing of the glam, like I said, the suit, that kind of thing. So let's pull up a back shot. She's kind of moving in this one. See, sometimes these, oh no, I guess she's not. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So here's the back shot. And at first I thought she was kind of moving through this, but she's in this position in the close-up shots too. So look at how off her arms are. That's weird to me, right? She's got one elbow up, one arm down. Not sure what's going on here with that. If that's a posing thing or an imbalance thing or what it is exactly, because, again, I'm looking at her other shots and her other shots look like this too. Yeah, her other shots look like this too. So it's not just the one picture. It's several pictures. She looks like this. But also her conditioning is just not there yet. I mean, it's close. It's very close. But she just needs to be a little bit tighter from behind. Just needs to be a little bit tighter. You can see it in her glutes and her hamstrings, but you can also see it in her shoulders too. And again, I'm not a huge fan of the hair look. Like, to me, this just looks a little bit messy, a little bit dirty. I just like to see an oomphed look here. If that's a word. I know that's not a word, but I'm making it a word. So, little things with her presence, again, from front and from back, but overall it's the conditioning that's the issue here. She just needs to get that conditioning right. Fourth place was Marioli, which, again, she's been in this area, this zone all year. She's been competing a lot. You look over here, you can see all of her shows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 shows here. And she's falling in this zone, this, 5, 4, 3 zone every show that she's doing, really. There's no, I looked at this earlier. There's not a lot of shots of her in her front pose, like full front pose. So let me see. Yeah, she's not. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of pictures at this show where she's like fully posed. So I'm going to pull up one of these half shots here. So, okay, this is a good example. I want you to take a look at her hair right now in comparison to what I just talked about with Roxana. Marioli has the middle part thing going on here too, but she's got volume at the roots of her hair. See how this just looks a little bit more glamorous? It's just a little bit more oomph there. It's a little bit more oomph. She's got that height at her part, right? I don't know if you guys can see the difference, but that's how subtle of a difference it can make a big difference, right? Like it just looks more glamorous when you've got a little bit more volume there, a little bit more oomph to the hair. I do still think she's showing a little bit too much chest here with that top. I've mentioned this a few times. This is a different suit she wore. I wasn't a fan of the last suit because of the color. This suit, I think the color is better. I just want to see more coverage on her top. And I feel like her top could have more coverage. It looks like she scrunched it in a little bit. If she just pulls it out to be full coverage, I think it'd be better. My critique, though, really for her overall is just she needs more shoulders. I do think she streamlined her lower body quite a bit. Her lower body did look quite a bit bigger earlier in the season, and it doesn't look like that anymore. But I just want to see more fullness in the shoulder. Now, some of that could be posing too. I see her arm out like this a lot. It could just be the way that she's holding her pose, but I do think she just needs to grow a little bit more shoulders. From the back, I think that her pose is a little off. She looks like she's pinching through the top here. I think she's trying to get wider. This happens a lot with posing when girls don't know how to open their back up. In the process of trying to get wider, what happens is they stick their elbows out and they don't actually get wider. So I think she needs to be taught how to open her back up. And by opening her back, I don't mean a lat spread. I mean actually relaxing and opening the back. But like I said, see how much cleaner this hair looks on her? See the difference? This is a much better hair look. And it's a very similar hair look to what Roxana has, but this is just cleaner and better, right? Lower body actually looks pretty good here. Tightness is right about there. She's probably fixing her pose a little bit here to try to make her glutes look a little rounder and fuller. I'm guessing they've probably tried a few different positions, things like that here. I think this is pretty close. Where I think she's losing, again, the difference between being in, fourth, fifth place to, second, third, first place is her upper body. I think her lower body is pretty good now. I think she's done a good job of streamlining, kind of making it really in that spot where she needs to be for bikini. But I think she needs to work on the upper body. But she's close. She just needs to grow some upper body, I think. And then we have Nadai. Again, I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I really apologize because I've been talking about her every single week, and I feel bad because I'm pronouncing her name wrong. But again, she's in that, 3-4 zone every single show now, right? I still think I mean, the critiques that I have for her have been the same. I still think her front pose is not quite there. This is better. She's not bending into the knee. That's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. The last few shows, she's been bending into the knee, and she's not doing that here. That's a good change. I like that. But I'm not sure what's going on up here. I think it's close. It's close, but I feel like maybe she just needs to twist this hip a little and relax the hand. I'm not a fan of the hand being at the belly button. You guys know this. We need to be back and away from the belly button. I think this becomes too X frame-ish, the way that she's posing right now. They want an S curve. I say this every week, you guys. S. S. Not an X, an S. Okay? So what we're seeing here is we're seeing an X, right? So this is very easily fixed just by twisting the hip and relaxing that back shoulder a little bit. So it's close. I'm a big fan that she stopped bending the knee. I like that. I think that's good. She's standing up tall. Excellent job there. But there still needs some tweaks here in this front pose. Let's take a look at her back. Okay, from the back, same critique I've always given. She just needs to fill out that upper outer glute, right? And that's not going to happen while you're competing. That's going to happen in an off season, right? So her conditioning is good. I think she's a little too tight. We're seeing the diamond drops here. That tightness through that hamstring is a little too much. But really where she needs the improvement is the upper outer glute. It's the upper outer, and that'll help from the front too. So again, this is not going to happen while she's in a deficit. This is going to happen when she gets off stage and starts lifting more weight and eating more food. So that's not, it's just not something that's fixable while you're in a deficit. So I feel like she's I think at this point, if I was her, I would probably go try and build some glutes. I mean, that's probably where I would be, because she's going to continue to be in this zone right here, and she's not going to get much better as far as placing is concerned. There's going to be somebody that's going to beat her with that shape. She's doing a great job for her first pro season, so I would just go make the improvements on the physique, come back and come back with those glutes filled out and win a show. She's this close. She just needs an off season. She just needs an off season. And then we have Yulia, Yulia's a great example. I've said this before. Last year, she was getting in the middle of that second call out. I told her in order to get up into that first call out, she needed to get into an off season and grow. She had the shape, she had the look, all those kinds of things. She just needed more size. She did that. Now she places second, right? And she's been increasingly getting better and getting better and getting better. Not a whole lot to change here on the front pose. The front pose is right where it should be. Conditioning is right where it should be. Look is right where it should be. I mean, we've changed and tweaked all this stuff over the last few shows based on feedback and things like that. I really don't think there's anything to change right here. I know she got her feedback and the judges told her she was on and not to change anything, basically. So again, I wouldn't change anything from the front. I have one critique from the back, and she knows what it is because I told her that already. From the back, I think she's just still a little too sharp through the hamstrings here. But that's about it. I mean, she's got nice fullness, roundness in the glutes. Her glutes remind me quite a bit of Isa Pacini. This back pose and everything reminds me of Isa quite a bit. Her first couple of shows this year, she wasn't quite tight enough. Now she's a little bit too tight through the hamstrings, but it's really, really negligible because she's got those really 3D glutes that come out at you. So even, the back pose is right on. I wouldn't change anything here. She could watch the toe position. We've talked about this before. The toe position is a little bit off, but that's really, again, very minor. And the conditioning, it's literally just a hair too much on that conditioning right here. She's got those diamond drops. So she's got to pull that and soften it up just a little bit. And I mean, just a tiny, tiny bit. And then she's right there. You know, the look is right there. Like I said, she amplified her glam look. This is something I mentioned with Roxana versus Marioli. You know, that's the glam look we're looking for. You need to amplify. Just amplify who you are already, right? So yeah, Yulia, I know the toe thing. I mean, it becomes muscle memory, right? And the muscle memory thing is always hard to break. You know, something else that we talked about was, you know, poking the elbows out a little bit too much. I don't see that here, but every once in a while, those elbows just poke out a little bit. And we always correct that. But those are things that are muscle memory things, you know, and as you go along, they'll get better and they'll get better. You know, it just takes time to deprogram, right? So other than that, I wouldn't change anything. It's just little teeny tiny things. And I really think it's going to be a matter of just showing up at the right show, the right time, the right place. Now you're in that top 5. You know, you just got to keep coming back with what the judges tell you to come back with. And as long as you do that, you're going to end up with a win eventually. You just don't give up. Just don't give up at this point. So little slightly less on the conditioning. And that's about all I would do different. That's about all I would do different. So that brings us to Jordan, who did win the show, and we assumed would win the show going into it. You know, she placed 11th at the Olympia, so coming into it, she was the front runner, and she did not disappoint. They put her right smack dab in the center of that first call out. Whenever you're dead center, that's pretty much they're saying, okay, this girl wins. Who's coming in next, right? So one of the things that Jordan has an issue with sometimes is coming in a little bit soft in her lower half. From what I can see from the photos, I don't think that was the case. I think she was right on with her lower half conditioning. This pose is great. Now, I had a lot of people reach out to me about her suit. And personally, I don't think this is the best suit for her. I do like the pink on her, but this one has that shade of orange, which kind of blends with her skin tone. I like to see things pop off of the skin tone. So if I was her, I would go back to the normal pink that she's worn before. And then also, to me, this top is too small. Same thing I said about Marioli. We're seeing too much chest here. We're seeing too much. So it's very, very close to being almost a wardrobe malfunction. So if I was her, I would go back to her original suit that she had last year. Go with more of that pink that pops up against her skin a little bit better, and go with a bigger fitting top on her. So we're not risking the anything popping out that we don't want to see. But overall, the front pose looks great. I think that she looks really well balanced from top to bottom. Nice fullness in the shoulders. And again, she's conditioned, but she's not too conditioned. Her waistline's teeny tiny, all of those kinds of things. So I think this is a really, really good, really, really solid front pose. And then from the back, you know, what her critiques typically are, you know, usually going into her first show this season, is that she needs to tighten up a little bit from the back. But I don't know what her critiques were going into this show. I don't think that was her feedback here. I think she was, from what I can see, I think her conditioning was right on. Now, again, I could be wrong based on the photos or lighting or whatever. But to me, this looks like her conditioning is right on. She's got that fullness, that 3D pop in the glute. She's got that upper outer glute going on here too. We've got the delts popping on the outside. That looks good too. And then you see here with her hamstring tie-ins, she's got a tie-in, but it's not super etched in. So this is the difference right here that I was talking about with Yulia, right? Yulia, we had that tight tie-in right here, that diamond drop, and we don't have that here on Jordan. And that, I believe, is what they're looking for. I think they're looking for just that little bit of softness right here going into the hamstring, which is what I think Jordan has. And I think that's why it was like a clear-cut win for her. I don't think I would really change much here on her other than the suit. You know, the suit is the only thing I would say she needs to improve upon going into the Olympia. I don't know if she plans to do another show or not. I know people were talking about her being on the list for Phoenix, but she's not on there. Does anybody know if she's doing Phoenix or not? I don't know if she's doing it or not. Yeah, I just wanted to pull up the comparison shots real quick so you can see what I'm talking about too with her being dead center. Whenever they put somebody dead center, you pretty much know that's who's going to win the show. So this was your first call out right here. Jordan is right here in the middle. And then we've got Yulia, Nadai, Marioli, Roxana, and then we've got our next two on the outside there too. But you can see real clearly, I mean, they definitely had Jordan in first here. Then everybody else was kind of fighting around that first place spot. And like I said, from the back, you can see it pretty clearly from the back. Like all three of these girls, really, I mean, all the way down to, I would say out the top four, the glutes all look really nice and full and round and 3D. The difference is the conditioning, really, from the back. So, you know, Jordan's got a little bit of that softness here, just enough. Yulia's just a little bit too tight here. And I do feel like that I may be losing a little bit. She might be a little softer here. I can't really tell, again, with this lighting. But again, I think with her, it's more so just that upper outer glute for her. And then again, Marioli has done a good job of really streamlining her lower half too. So this is a really competitive show. I think and I think it was called correctly too. Anybody else have anything to add before we move into previewing our shows for the weekend? Anything else they wanted to add for this show? And yes, congratulations to Yulia. She did a phenomenal job. I'm going to go ahead and move into our shows this weekend. If y'all have any questions or anything that you wanted to add for San Antonio, feel free to pop that in there. I'm going to share this France show really quickly. We're not really going to preview it because we don't know, or at least I don't know, most of these competitors here. The ladies that we've been seeing on stage for the European shows so far are not really competing here other than Christina Bronauer. So I would guess she's probably your front runner going in. We talked about her several times. Her main issue is her upper outer glutes and also her front pose. So if she can fix those things, then she could definitely be taking home a win here. Again, I don't know a lot of these girls here. So if anybody knows anybody that we should be watching, go ahead and type it into the comments. Let me know so I can pay attention to them. Other than her, I don't recognize any of these names. So yeah, let me know if we should be looking at anybody else here. But I would say that Christine is probably your front runner going into this show. So that's France. Where are we looking now? Let's go to Daytona next. And yes, Yulia's glutes were definitely popping for sure. Yeah, they all, like I said, they all had really great 3D glutes in that top four. Okay, so Daytona is this coming weekend as well. It's a relatively decent sized list, but again, not a lot of names here and nobody that's Olympia qualified. So this could be anybody's game. You know, right off the bat, we're looking at two main names, right? So we're looking at Jessica Dolius. So she just took second a couple weeks ago. Just hit. Yep. At Battle of the Body, she just took second. To De Raja. So coming into this show, she would be one of your front runners, one of the two. I would say your main front runner. My main critiques on her when I talked to her and when I looked at her photos, things like that, is she just needs to pump up those shoulders a bit more. That should look great from the back. And then I want to see some more definition through the core. Her waistline's nice and tight and tiny, but we don't see, she's a little washed out through the abdomen. So I did tell her that. And maybe she can get a little bit of definition in there, pulling that. She mentioned she doesn't train abs, so maybe she could train her abs a little bit going into the show and get a little bit of pop there. That's really the only thing that I would change. I think her back pose is right on. She's got a little bit of an imbalance in her back pose because of her posing. I've mentioned that before too. But that's really just a matter of making sure that you shift. And again, muscle memory things like we were talking about with Yulia, with the elbows and with the heels and all of that. Those are just little things. I don't think it makes a difference between her winning and losing a show. What I do think could make a difference would be the shoulders and the abs. So that would be my critique for her here. The other name on that list would be, did I pull up? No, that's her. Okay. would be Nadai, who we literally just talked about. So all the things I just talked about with her, fix that front pose a little bit. She's still competing. So, this could be a good thing for her. She's been placing, third, fourth, that kind of thing. She's going into a show now where there's no clear cut winner. So this could very well be a good thing for her. And I know that she and Jessica have flip-flopped placings a couple of times this year. So who knows? It could be just who ends up showing up the best that day. It could very well be her show. It could very well be Jessica's show. Or it could be somebody completely different that we haven't talked about here. We've got Janine. So I should have pulled up Janine too. Janine's been placing top fives. She just placed second at the Masters Olympia. So she's not only does well in Masters, but she also does well in Open too. Let me pull her up really quickly. I should have pulled up her name. Just so you guys can get to see her real quick. Well, if NPC News is going to work for me. There we go. There we go. So this was her at the Masters Olympia. So again, she's another one of the Masters athletes who's also doing very well in Open. And again, she's placed top 5 in Open. So this could be a good shot for her to get up into that top spot. If there's ever a show where she could get into the top spot, this would be it. This would be it, right? So she's got to just bring in everything tight, bringing that core nice and tight, bringing her backside nice and tight. And this very well could be her show too. It's going to be interesting to see how this show plays out because there's no clear-cut front runner going into it. If I was a betting woman, I would probably pick Jessica. And actually, I bet on Alabama this past weekend, and I won. So maybe I should be a betting woman. I'm not, but maybe I should be. Let's see. So we're going to go to Phoenix next because that really previews our whole Daytona. They do have a whole Masters lineup and everything too. So we'll see how that plays out. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting one to see for sure. And then last but not least, we have the Rising Phoenix in Arizona. So the one thing I wanted to point out before we go into Bikini is wellness. So the wellness lineup is huge, you guys. I think I heard somebody say that this is bigger than the actual Wellness Olympia lineup. So this is the biggest lineup that we've seen, period, for wellness here. So I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I didn't pull up people to preview on this particular lineup because a lot of these names I don't know. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is that a lot of these girls have only competed against like a handful of other people throughout the year. So, whenever I've brought up wellness shows in this whole year, it's been like 6 people in a show. So if you place top 5, that's not saying much. You know what I mean? So this particular show could be very interesting because it is the biggest lineup that we have seen all year. And, looking at it, there's nobody in here that's really a huge front runner. We've got Jasmine Payne in here. She's the next Olympian. There's a bunch of Olympians in here. Yeah, there's a lot of debuts. There's a lot of overseas people. You see Korea, Spain, Canada, all of these different, Brazil. This is going to be an interesting show to watch. This is going to be an interesting show to watch. And I can't even pretend to preview this because we just don't know how it's going to play out. It's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see how this works out. We do have Jennifer in here. Jennifer Zoller. She's not Olympia qualified yet. That's right. She's not Olympia qualified yet, but she's been placing top 5s. But again, that doesn't say much right now because everybody has been placing top 5s. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, a lot of newbies. A lot of people I'm not familiar with. So I'm curious to see how it plays out. Now, when we go up to Bikini, again, another big lineup here. And again, right off the bat, we have Yulia. So we just talked about Yulia. So she's competing again. So obviously she's going to be one to be watching. She could very well be an upset here. She could very well be somebody that we weren't expecting to come in and do anything, to do something, because she did just do something this past week, right? Now, looking at the list here, we have 2 front runners that are very well matched. It's going to be interesting to see how this actually plays out. They've competed against each other in the past. I am very curious to see how this actually plays out between the two of them. And I do think it's going to come down to the two of them with the potential of, Yulia going in there and upsetting everybody. But we have Rihanna, who obviously is Olympic qualified. This is not where she got Olympic qualified. It's a Clash. I wonder if they have photos from her Clash. It's all black right there. That's interesting. I don't know why they don't have pictures. Hold on. There we go. So Rihanna did win the Clash. She is Olympic qualified. So she's definitely, obviously one of the ones to be watching going into this. And prior to winning this particular show, she was in the top 2, top 3, every show she was in this past year. So she's definitely somebody to watch. And she's had a rest. She's had time to get to get better. She's had time to rejuvenate her frame and her body. And I'm curious to see what she looks like coming into this show. Now, the other one to be watching is Daraja. Okay. Now, obviously, Daraja just won Battle of the Bodies. She just won a show. She is Olympia qualified. She also plays top 4 this past year. So she's a strong competitor. She's one of those ones that, even when she doesn't show up at her best, which was what happened at Battle of the Bodies, she still can win the show. So I'm very curious to see what she and Rihanna look like next to each other. I'm curious to see what Daraja has done in the last 2 weeks, as far as if she's coming in tighter, what she has fixed, what she's changing, all those kinds of things. And if she's going to be able to beat Rihanna. If Rihanna pulls out the win here, that could be huge for Rihanna going into the Olympia, right? That could be absolutely huge. So I'm very interested to see. This is the marquee show right here. Now, I did hear people say that Jordana was going to do this show and try to defend her title, but I don't see her on the list. So as of right now, I don't think that's happening. I could be wrong. Maybe she's going to jump in. If she does, that just puts in a whole other wrench right there. But I really think it's going to come down to the two of them, and I'm very, very curious to see how this plays out. So if you were betting here, type into the comments, tell me who you think is going to pull out the win here. Who do you think is going to pull out the win? And maybe you think that Yulia is going to upset both of them, which is very possible. There's always the possibility of the underdog coming in and taking it, right? Who do you think is going to take the win here? Who do you think is going to pull it out? Type it in for me. Just gonna sit here and wait for comments. Anybody out there? Anybody listening? I know sometimes this is behind. I know sometimes the live feed is behind a little bit. We got a Daraja coming in. My biggest thing is I'm curious to see if Daraja comes in closer to 100%, if she's fixed her conditioning. Because if she hasn't, that leaves a big wide open window for Rihanna, right? Rihanna's got a ridiculous frame. She's already been up against some of the toughest competition this past year already. So I'm very curious to see how this goes. Very curious. Like I said, going into it, you would think that Daraja would be your front runner, but maybe not. If Daraja's not at 100%. Yeah, there's a lot of ifs and buts, right? There's a lot of what ifs here, right? Well, Rihanna and Daraja have competed against each other in the past, and it's come down really, really close. I think it was at Texas. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Daraja won that show. I'm pretty sure. But it was very close between the two of them. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Because and the other thing is that Rihanna may not come at 100% too. If Rihanna doesn't come at 100%, then who knows, right? So, so Megan, as far as my lives, I'm doing one live a week, and then we're doing uploads the rest of the week. So they're still there. The content is still there. I'm just only going live once a week. And the reason why I'm only going live once a week is because YouTube rewards pre-recorded content and not lives. So, so we still have uploads 3 days a week. There's still 3 uploads a week. But I'm just not going, I'm going live for one of them. So, nope, I don't like this show. Too much perfection. Yeah, Daraja and Rihanna have very, very different frames. They absolutely do. But again, I don't know. I really think it's going to come down to whose condition is better. I really do. I think that's what it's going to come down to. Because they both have really good stage presence. They both have really good looks. So I'm curious to see how their shapes match up, right? Yeah, you have to be on our YouTube channel. So if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, then you'll get notifications when everything pops up. Yeah, it's all on YouTube. Yep, it's all on YouTube. So you're here on Instagram right now. I'm live on YouTube and everything right now. I'm live on YouTube and I'm live on Facebook and everything too. So all the uploads are going into YouTube. Yep. Posing session tomorrow. Just read your comment there, Gracie. That's funny. I've done that in the past. I've actually texted people like, "Where are you?" and they're posing sessions the next day or something like that. I'm not sure what you mean by. I mean, I don't know. If they're from a different country, it's very possible that they're qualified. But if they haven't competed here in the States, good luck. Good luck. Yeah, I just looked up Reina. She is. And she's a past Olympian too. We just talked about her a couple weeks ago. And she looks good. She looks good. Honestly, I think she's going to get lost in this lineup. To be perfectly honest. I mean, she is Olympic qualified. So she doesn't look bad by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that in this lineup, I don't know if she's going to do much. She may end up top 5. She may end up in the top 5. That was one of the shows where it was hard for us to cover it because they only had a handful of pictures. And the placings in that particular show too were a little off from what they typically are. Some of the girls that went down there and competed down there didn't place well, and they placed better up here in the States. So we'll see. I don't see her. She could be in the top 5. She could be in the top 5. I don't see her winning it. But anybody could be in the top 5. So I think it's going to come down to. I still think it's going to come down to Rihanna and Daraja. So with that, you guys, that's our live for tonight. So I decided to put these both together. You're puking for? I think you mean rooting for, but I got you. So I put these two lives together, these two together because it's Wednesday and typically I can get an upload done today, that kind of thing. I just didn't have time. And then also because we only had the one show to really wrap up and not a lot of footage and things to talk about. So we were able to get everything done in one shot. So if you haven't done so already, the Behind the Bikini podcast did launch today as well. So that is up here on my YouTube channel. So check that out. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because if you subscribe and turn on notifications, then you're going to know when an upload goes live, right? And like I said, the reason we've moved away from doing as many lives and doing more pre-recorded content is because YouTube rewards pre-recorded content more than they do lives as far as algorithms, things like that are concerned. So it gets us seen a little bit more just by doing the pre-recorded. I still love coming on with you guys live. but we're just doing them once a week instead of doing them 3 nights a week. We're just doing the pre-recorded instead. So with that, Cuties Conquering the Stage tickets, early bird tickets right here. We're going to start. We've already been announcing all of our speakers and our sponsors and like that too. But you guys know we have prizes coming up. We have crowns coming up. We have goodies coming up, giveaways coming up, all sorts of things. So if you've never been in this whole launch period for Cuties Conquering the Stage before, you're in for a treat, because every girl that goes gets treated like a queen. You all leave with crowns, everyone. And then some leave with bigger crowns too. So we do prizes, we do sponsorships, we do giveaways. You basically make back your ticket price through all the goodies that we give you. So with that, I hope you guys had a great week. I'm still kind of getting myself put back together here from being on vacation. Vacation was fantastic, but then you got a ton of work to do once you get back. So that's what I'm in the process of doing right now. We'll be back again with live on Tuesday next week. We'll get some uploads out between now and then. We'll have another podcast out for Behind the Bikini and all of the fun stuff. So keep an eye on this weekend's shows. It's going to be interesting. We only have this weekend. Yeah, Jamaica's coming for her crown. We only have this weekend, and then we have Legions, and that's it for Olympia qualifiers. And then we are into the Olympia countdown at that point. So we're here. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost at Olympia time. Oh, my God. All right. With that, if you want to work with me, go to SeansCoutureCuties.com. We've got all of our stuff on there. Boutique is on there, all that stuff. All the links are in my link tree on Instagram. They're also on my description box in YouTube. And that's it. I hope you guys have a great night. We'll see you back here next week. And then subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you get all the other stuff too. Cool? All right. Have a great night, you guys.